technical, and he's having some technical difficulties, it sounds like. I hope I can give Peter enough time to, is he going to be the one that therefore will present the approved budget for 2022?
I don't think we had a chance to coordinate on that, David, before the meeting. So I would suggest if you take all the slides.
Okay, I was not prepared to do that, but we can get through it. Okay.
The notes, David?
Pardon me?
You have the notes for all the slides like we set up?
Yeah, okay. I'll refer to them as best I can. And you can always interject if I miss something in that respect. First, why don't I introduce you to the other members of the 2022 Finance Committee, that is. Art Muir and I serve as co-chairs of the Finance Committee. Peter Cassina is our church treasurer. Walter Calhoun, stewardship chair and co-lay leader. Kathy Cole is our assistant treasurer. And Rob Powell, who is located at the moment in Ohio, but he's faithful to attending our meetings. So we have people scattered all over the place, I guess, and some good people that are very active in our financial affairs. Additionally, in the Finance Committee, we have some members at large. We have Scott Javor, who is chair of the trustees. Mary Figueredo, she is chair of the church council. Leslie Muir, chair of staff parish relations committee, SPRC we call it, for good reason, it's easier to say. Lisa Goodale, the other co-lay leader, and Pastor Scott. Let me begin by saying 2021 brought some new changes and, of course, continued challenges to the financial aspects of the church. This past year, we contracted with a new outside accounting firm, as well as transitioned to several new integrated financial software systems. We now have much improved financial operating functions and procedures, improved reporting statements, and improved monitoring capabilities and efficiencies, all at less costs. But as was true for all of us, the church continued to be affected by the various aspects of COVID-19. So now I would be ready for the first slide. We're going to look at a couple pie charts, which will show what the church's financial results were for last year, 2021. The first of which is showing the actual income for 2021.
Wait.
Okay, I don't know if I'll see the, will I see the pie chart too?
Let's see, I think I can do it this way.
Okay.
Let's see PowerPoint.
No, go over on the right.
PowerPoint's done.
My secondary display.
Or on the left.
I think it's this. Yeah, I think it's that one right
On
there.
the right.
We're almost there.
There you go.
My screen share broke.
Oh.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, take it away, dude.
Okay, you can skip that one. That was just the okay, that's the one we want to look at here. As I say, this shows in a pie graph display the actual income for 2021, which totaled $291,880. The pie chart indicates that a good part of our income came from pledges. Let's start clockwise. The blue section indicated as general donations. That category includes pledged and non-pledged income dollars. The red, that was $158,000 right there. The next section in red indicated as in-kind gifts are donations of stock. We have several members who pledge stock in meeting their donation. Between the cash and the stock donations represented by those two sections of the pie chart, you are looking at almost 80% of our income. We have loose plate collections. That's very modest, understandably, from the standpoint that we often were not meeting in church. Seasonal offerings were up this year. These represent primarily Easter and Christmas offerings. The next section is other income. And other income, let me refer to some of the numbers here. That included shared space, where we have outside organizations utilizing the church, paying for that utilization. That was $11,750. We had income from the Memorial Garden and memorial donations. Those totaled about $8,000. No, I'm sorry, 7,000, a little over 7,000. We had in that category the shower of blessings, harvest of goodness, which brought in about $1,600. But the major portion of that other income came to us. We were favored once again by being allowed to participate in the government's CARES Act PPP loan program. This was the second year that was offered, so it was our second go around. That loan amount was $32,615. All of which that occurred in March, and I believe it was like in November that that loan was once again forgiven. So that was a blessing right there to have that. That was a big portion of our other income. The funds transfers, that's one of several that we do at year end. Set up long ago. We do this every year end or first part of the new year. So I guess all in all, donations came in as we expected. Again, favored by the additional income from the PPP loan. I should have noted, and I will now, that in the other income, we normally would have seen some income from a rummage sale. We had budgeted last year to receive $14,000 of income from the rummage sale, which, as we all know, did not occur, did not take place because of COVID considerations. So that was a big part of what we had been looking towards for other revenue. Okay, let's go on to the next chart. This would show actual expenses for 2021. You'll see the total is $289,804. A good part of that represented in the pie chart is for salaries and benefits that come along with the salaries to our employees. Pastor Scott, Barb, Marjorie, Jesse, Tomoko. Those would be our salaried staff. In the category of church administration, let me go to that. That represented $20,000. In that category, give me a moment. Highlight some of this church administration, and I've lost it. Hold on. That would include
Can I help you, David? I can share.
I'm sorry, I lost it. Oh, there's the sheet I'm looking for. Yeah, that would include primarily things, office functions, printing, literature, payroll services. So that was, let's see, professional. The highlight I would make here is that professional fees were started out a little over budget. As I noted earlier, we changed our outside accounting service. So we are now looking at considerable savings from what the year started out looking like. So that's going to be an improvement. We had some expenses in regard to software upgrades, the website. That's all included in church administration. The property expenses, $63,000, shown in the yellow. That was higher than anticipated, primarily from unexpected expenses related to our boiler. These were maintenance expenses that we incurred early in the year. We have since replaced that boiler so that hopefully that would be a problem we won't encounter in the future. But we were probably over budget in respect to the boiler by about $7,000. Music, see, is 3,000 plus. Apportionments, 15,000. That was a portion of our requested apportionment to the Northern Illinois Conference. So that would be, I think, the discussion on the expense side. Go to the next slide, please, Pastor Scott. For those that like to look at these numbers side by side, you will see in the general income and expense categories, we have the actual totals combined, as you see in some cases. So the actual is compared to the budget of last year. You'll see that Contribution income, as we discussed, it was right on target. Other income was down a bit, and again, that was because of the anticipated 14,000 from the rummage sale that did not happen. And then you've got the transfer of funds. So against a budget of 301,000, we came in with income of 291,000. On the expense side, we've got salary and wages, which were just under budget. The church administration, pretty much on target there. Property expenses, we talked about up because of the boiler maintenance issues. Music department, church school, Christian education, and council and ministries all were below budget. I would say all our major expense categories came in under budget other than the property. Bottom line, income less expenses. We had budgeted 14,000 positive. We came in at 2,000 positive, which I think is an accomplishment for many of the issues that we've discussed. In summary, at the bottom, you'll see that we had a carryover from our 2020 income and expenses. That primarily was the result, again, of us being favored by the first of the PPP loans that were offered in year 2020. And then with this year's surplus of additional 2,000, we start the year with some cushion of 21,000, which it's comforting to have that cushion when we head into the new year. Important to the financial health of the church when we're going into some new year with unforeseen issues, perhaps. We're certain to have some uncertainties, I'm sure. So I guess that's it from the standpoint of last year's results. Okay, I'm going to try the presentation of our approved budget. Maybe I should just briefly talk about the process of putting together the budget. It begins perhaps with a couple pretty good numbers presented to the Finance Committee in starting the budget process. One comes to us initially from the staff parish in regard to the salaries for the staff. We are also notified late fall of our requested apportionments from the conference and the denomination. There are two separate portions of that apportionment requests. Those are big parts of the budget, as you saw from what I just presented. The rest of it is sort of the best we can in projecting what our income will be from pledge and non-pledge income. Best we can do in looking at our expenses based on that point in time to the current year and projecting how that might look for the ensuing year. We have moved to doing finalization in the Finance Committee of that proposed budget so that we are favored by our much improved reports that tell us where we are expense-wise in our different expense categories. We've got a lot of, detail that goes into each of these major categories that we talked about. There's lots of different aspects to each one of those, and we can look at the results of the current year and then forecast how that may or may not change in the ensuing year. We gather information from relevant committees. I would say the Finance Committee does careful consideration and considerable discussion of relevant financial data that relates to the coming year. We put together this recommended budget, which is then presented to Church Council for their review to explain the budget, answer questions, and to recommend ultimate approval from Church Council of that proposed budget. That occurred at the council meeting in January. So what we have is an approved budget for year 2022. And with that, I will present it again in a similar fashion with pie charts. So we've got the first one here, budgeted income for 2022. Let's see what I can tell you. Definitely refer to some notes here.
David, can you hear me?
He froze.
Oh, no.
On the salaries, staff parish.
David,
Yes. Oh, paper?
you're hitting the microphone with your papers.
I got you. I know. I do that every time. Okay. I'll be careful. I'll be careful now. I'm organized.
Whoops, he's frozen again.
Stories. Again, we heard from staff parish. They approved, or recommended, I should say, increase in respect to all staff salaries of 4.5% for this year. Along with that recommended salary increase, that increases other benefits such as health insurance and pension in some cases. So it's more than just salaries, but in some cases, some benefits that are related to the salary level. How did I get onto that? I'm sorry. I jumped ahead. I'm on the expenses. Let's go back to income. Income, general donations, that's again, pledged, non-pledged incomes. That is based on historical data. That's what we looked at year end, what people were able to donate last year, and with some anticipated increase in giving. That's where that number would come from. The in-kind gifts, again, we know historically those members who give by way of stock donations and can anticipate that number, if not an increase there as well. Loose plate collections, I think we held that as same. Not much change is going to happen there, I don't think. Other income, unfortunately, other income, we don't have any indication and don't have any expectations of seeing another PPP loan. All in all, the last couple of years, with 32,000 last year and 36 the prior year, we almost had about 70,000 of income that really was important to keeping our church going. So that was an important piece for the last couple of years, but we're not going to see that this year. We are not budgeting for it. We will be budgeting approximately the same in shared space. Again, that's, outside organizations. We have budgeted for a rummage sale, $14,000. That's the same level as we had hoped for last year. Those would be the major issues on income. Again, there'll be seasonal offerings. I didn't touch on that, but that's about the same, and the fund transfer. Next slide, please. Expenses. I covered already the salaries coming from SPRC and related benefits, church administration. Let me see if I can highlight anything there. Yes, I would highlight in that respect, again, the comment I made about our professional fees, which represent the outside accounting firm. We will be budgeting about half of what we had budgeted last year for professional fees. And that's where I say we've gained a lot in capabilities resulting from that change, and at considerably less cost. So that's a good thing. We will have very little expense related to software and the website. All of that's kind of behind us and functioning quite well. Under property expense, what I'd say there is we are going to be looking at a considerably less budget number in the property supply and maintenance, and that's where that boiler expense came in last year. We had budgeted 5,000. We had expense of 13,000 last year. We are budgeting 3,000. We should have a functioning. We have actually two boilers, I believe, that hopefully will serve us well for next year and many years to come. That would be the main points there. Property expenses will be utilities, and that's we're looking at that pretty much the same across the board. So there's nothing else to report in property expenses. The music department is perhaps the thing to mention there. We have budgeted for a choral singer to augment our wonderful choir. That it was felt by the choir itself and the director, and that maybe we needed a little assistance from a choral singer brought in. I don't know in what capacity, what area, but that is budgeted.
She's currently looking to hire a singer for the choir, probably a tenor or a bass. So ads are out there. And this request came from the choir because sometimes we don't have a lot of people, and we just need, we're missing sections sometimes. And so this person is going to fill in a critical gap, and we budgeted to pay for this person on an hourly basis, and there'll be a contractor, not an employee.
Okay, thanks for a little more detail on that one. It was Council on Ministries. It's primarily the same as it was last year. In that category, we will be looking at rummage sale to offset 14,000 of income from rummage. We have expense anticipated of 2,000. It was budgeted last year, but that didn't happen either. No rummage sale, no income, no expense. But this year likely to have that. The rest of it, pretty much as it was. Apportionments, we've increased that from 15,000 last year to 17,000. Again, this is an apportionment in payment to the conference as opposed to the general church or denomination, I guess they call it denominational. We are not paying our full apportionment to the conference. It represents approximately 65% of what we were asked to contribute. As we've done for several years now, we've reduced that conference apportionment conference is requiring health insurance for Pastor Scott. The conference is asking us to pay at a family rate of coverage in that they do not offer an individual health insurance coverage. So we have reduced this apportionment to the conference by what that difference would primarily be. We, as I say, we've done that historically, I think since Pastor Scott came on board here. The general church apportionment, again, for the last several years, the church has chosen not to pay the general church apportionment. They were asking for $8,000. Our church's position in not paying is related to social issues, I would say primarily in regard to LGBTQ issues. The church, general churches stand on that, and us as a what are we? Whatever. Anyway, our stance as opposed to the general church.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Congregation.
Yes, thank you. Couldn't think of it. Okay, I think
Just given you mentioned the number, that the denomination now is actually 12,000 that they want for the, again, the denomination, not the conference. There's two components to the apportionment. So just letting you know, we're not paying toward that 12,000, and we haven't been the past several years.
yeah, let's see. That's right. They were asking this almost double from prior year.
Right. That's up to them. They
Yeah, 12. Okay. In reference to the conference apportionment, Northern Illinois Conference, they were asking 26,000. So again, with 17,000 adjusted for what I mentioned, that's about 65% of what they had requested. I guess at this point, I hope I highlighted everything that should have been said. If there's some questions, I'll try to answer them. Oh, I'm sorry, we got one more budget. Maybe let's put those numbers up.
One more thing I wanted to add is just that
Okay.
is high right now, and we do not, it makes these projections, we feel good about them, but it's just to be noted that we don't know how much inflation will affect these projections. So just be aware of that. And the inflation issue also went in along with performance into the 4.5% raise for staff. Normally it's 2.5% we give people each year, but we did 4.5 because of the high inflation last year.
Right, yeah. That last chart, let's just go through it again. Those are the general categories in total. And you'll see the income of 276,000 against the anticipated expenses or budgeted 289,000. So we will be looking perhaps at a shortfall of of 12, almost $13,000. This would, let's see, yeah. So last year we were favored by, some additional income. This year maybe we'll see the more traditional income. We were favored last year by a reduction of some expenses, and maybe that will be the case. There's one way to make up a deficit. It's either increased income, and where that comes from will be maybe a very successful rummage sale, maybe the generosity of our members, just increasing their donations a bit. It's not a big number. I think we're pretty comfortable with 13,000 against a pretty hefty budget.
Are you there, David?
Good things. I think that was one of the good things about it. Maybe we reduced some expenses last year when we weren't utilizing our facilities as we normally would, but I don't know what the answer is on that one. I think we'd all like to be back in church.
Hey, David, can I say one more on that? So as Finance Committee and Church Council have said that as a part of our stewardship campaign, which will happen during Lent this year, like it did last year, we're going to be making people more aware. This is the first step of the deficit that's present in our budget, but then also visiting about the opportunity for our membership to help us close that gap once and for all, and to have a truly balanced budget. That's going to be really exciting when we can get there. This, as we talked about as a whole leadership, that 13,000 is really a very small figure relative to our budget. And when you break that up over our 40 giving units, we can knock that out very easily with slight adjustments in people's giving. So this is the first step of that messaging campaign to share this figure with you and the opportunity we have to create a truly balanced budget. We haven't had a balanced budget the last few years, but the PPP loan offset that. And but our budget 3 years ago was 52,000 to the negative, and the PPP loan came in, a few other things. It shows you how far we've come, now down to 13,000 through really good expense management, increasing revenue, and some other things. And so this is our chance to close that gap. So we're just letting you know, and you'll hear more about that during the stewardship campaign. That's all, David.
Yep. Any questions, I guess? Hey, thanks for joining us, as I said, and hope this was helpful, informational to you. Again, I've mentioned who the committee members are. I'm sure they could answer any questions of anybody you choose to approach on the subject. We're here and we'll be monitoring our financial situation throughout the year. We meet generally every month, looking at the results month to month. So it's the beginning of a new year. Let's hope it's a good one in all respects.
Can I just say something? Thank you, David, and all the people who
Yes.
have worked very hard on this, because it's.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, everybody take care. Stay well.
Dave, before you go, the people have?
No.
Think you're good? Okay, it looks like we're good. Thank you, David, for leading us through those numbers. Thank you to Joan and Peter and Bev for joining us, and Linda too, who I think dropped off a few minutes ago. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Enjoy the warm weather.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Stay well and safe. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.
You have a good day, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody. Cheers.